Hi guys and welcome. This AMA has taken a really long time. Unfortunately, we used to shoot all our AMAs in office earlier, but we've been working from home. So this is essentially my work table. But I thought it would be good to connect. It had been a really long time and we had these questions really piling up. In fact, we've got more than 500, 600. Okay, so I'm looking at about close to 650 odd questions. So obviously we'll not be able to take all the questions. We don't really have that much time. But what we've tried to do is combine similar questions. There were a lot of questions that were asked by 5, 6, 10 people, and we've tried to combine that, and we'll probably try and answer that. Also, what we will not probably answer is kind of funny or weird questions, like this question that Amit is asking, sir, meri shadi karwa do. One, it's not a question, and second is, I can't really help you on that one. So with that, I think let's get started. Maybe I'll take up a first set of questions that have come in very recently. Okay. Maybe some questions on the F3 GT. Question number 1, and this is from Debashish and Kashish. The maglev triggers can only be used for gaming. This is on the F3 GT. Or can they be used for something else right now, like a camera shutter button? Okay, so right now, these triggers, the maglev triggers, are only for gaming. So essentially when you get into the gaming mode is when you can map these buttons and use them. We thought about using them for other shortcuts, but frankly, it was becoming a 2 or a 3 step process where you have to obviously engage the GT sliders, only then the triggers come out. So unlike other the touch capacitive triggers that everyone else uses, ours are mechanical keys, right? So it is more protected. You don't have accidental touches, but then it also adds one more step versus a software launch. For example, on the F3 GT, the camera shortcut is right there on the lock screen itself. So it's faster to get to the camera there than using the triggers. The other part was, if your trigger is mapped to something else and you've also mapped it for gaming, then what gets priority? So right now, the maglev triggers are for gaming only. Second question, this is from Sunny, Griffin, Bhanu Prakash, Jeffin, Ansh, Mudit, Rakesh, Jackson, Sumit, Atul. Okay, this is a lot of people asking this. Okay, so we saw this with the OnePlus 9 having 2 bands, the OnePlus 9R having 1 band, and now the F3 GT also has only 2 5G bands. Why? For this one, there are 2 aspects to it. One is the only bands that you need are the ones that actually go into the network. In fact, if you've noticed, nowhere are we even saying Poco F3 GT 5G. We'll probably add the 5G part to it later when we have the networks, but the focus of this phone is on a lot of other things. Now coming to why only 1 band, why only 2 bands that a lot of other brands are also kind of doing. See, when we launched, let's say in India when 4G started, and I remember very clearly in 2014 in December, the 4G services started in Bangalore. And can you guess how many bands were there? There was just 1 band, which was band 40. Later on, we had band 3, and most of the carrier aggregation was also happening between band 3 and band 40. Some stray instances of band 41 coming in later. So unnecessarily packing in bands is not going to help you with 5G speeds. The only 5G band that you need is the one that gets rolled out by the network. And considering that almost every manufacturer has got N78 as a band, should give you enough hints in terms of what you need for 5G support. Moving on. Why does F3 GT not have an NFC? This is from Prakash and Ansh. Why does it not have NFC? I'll probably turn this around. Why should it have NFC? NFC is an add-on component. NFC is super important for folks in the US, or Europe, and I think I've spoken about this last year as well, where near field communication or NFC was essentially good for two things. One was you tap it when you have to pair a Bluetooth speaker or something like that. That did not really go anywhere. The second one, which is largely used, is for payments. And these NFC based payments started off in the early 2010s in most of the other Western countries. Now this requires extra hardware on the phone side, which is easier, but also on the merchant side or the retailer to also have it. So they have to change all their machines. In countries like India or most of the Southeast Asian countries, and in fact some places, even say for example things coming in from China, the entire technology leapfrogged NFC. And essentially when we are doing payments, we are using QR codes, right? So when we go to a retail counter, we have to pay, there's a small QR code, you scan it and you pay that. It is more cost effective, it is faster, it is also more secure than actually going with the NFC. So NFC is great for other countries. In India, for the payments part of NFC, we've already gone beyond it. For pairing with random things using NFC, that's such a small use case that all 5 of you guys can actually try something else. I mean, I'm talking about 5 total NFC users in India who are using it for pairing and things like that. So the next question was actually, will F3GT support 90 frames per second in Battlegrounds? So we are talking to both the MediaTek team and the Krafton team. We'll keep you updated as those evaluations go on. So we definitely kind of having a check on this one. The phone obviously is very capable of it. We're just seeing if there are any other requirements that these guys have to enable this. Okay, this is another question that I keep getting a lot of times. This is from Dev, Sandeep, Surya and Mukesh. Why does F3GT have a side fingerprint reader rather than an in-display fingerprint reader? Okay, so there are a lot of advantages of having a physical fingerprint reader over a under the display fingerprint reader. I mean, that's also physical in a way, but it has to go through the display. The accuracy is one part of it. And the second one, which is the most important one, is the speed. With the physical fingerprint reader, the one that we've put actually in the power button is perhaps the fastest you can get. And if you are seeing a trend of all the Poco phones, you know, whether it is the X3 Pro, whether it's the F3GT, one thing that we don't really want to compromise is on the speed or how fast it moves. So while I understand that, you know, an in-display fingerprint reader might look cool, but the main objective of the fingerprint reader is actually speed. And this is what we're getting with the F3GT. And the reason we put it on the side is whether you are holding it or you've got it on the table, the side fingerprint reader is good enough and from all sides, right? So you don't have to strain to get your finger or your thumb on it, and it just works a lot faster. Long story short, it's just much faster. One day we will have in-display fingerprint readers or any other kind of authentication system with fingerprints which is as fast as the physical one. That day we'll probably reconsider. Right now, you know, it's less about showing off and more of the speed. Will the Poco F3GT have a yellow color edition? Okay, so this is from Ayan, Chaitanya, Aditya, Samson and Sumesh. Yeah, I mean, you guys know how much we love the Poco Yellow, and of course we're seeing tremendous traction on the M3 and the M3 Pro. In fact, the M3 Pro, unfortunately, the yellow is still sold out. Every time it comes back in, it sells out really quickly. M3 we've managed to finally scale up, and I think on M3 the yellow is the first time a non-black, blue, standard color, first time a color like a yellow color is selling so well. You know, this is the data I'm getting from Flipkart as well. On the F3GT, unfortunately, you know, we've talked about how complex the entire process is of making the F3GT, and we are making this in India. While we were able to get, say, the beveling on the frame or the 22-step glass that we've done on the back, we were not able to get the yellow color production in India done properly. We are still trying. Maybe future we might have something, but on the F3 GT, it is 99% we will not be able to get a yellow color here. The another question, this is, can you give me a F3 GT? I'll not name you guys, but the answer is no. You'll have to, like everything else in life, you have to earn one. And one day I'm sure you guys will earn, whatever you dream of, and you will get there. Okay. Let me move on to the next section. These are some more generic questions. Okay. Kalpesh, Rutvik, Emmanuel and Akshat are asking what happened to the Poco Pop Buds and when are they going to launch? So still we are working. Hopefully we are closer than ever before. But there are, for everything that we do at Poco, there are a whole lot of steps, a whole lot of quality testing that we need to do and checks and balances. So it's not been as fast. Again, when we start launching, we will not launch 5 earbuds at the same time and confuse you guys. So we are definitely working on this. Hopefully, if we have the checks that we are kind of doing at the moment, we should not be too far out. Next one, why is the X3 GT not coming to India? Okay, now this one is coming from Naveen Sabrisan, Yash, is this our Yash? Okay, Sayan Bansal, I don't know. Okay, why is the X3 GT not coming to India? Now we've spoken about this multiple times. I think the biggest strength of Poco is how clear our portfolio is, right? You go from a Poco C3 to a M3 to a M3 Pro to the X3 Pro to the F3 GT. It is a super lean portfolio. In fact, even someone like Apple has more products than us. In this particular price points, right? So C3 starts at 7,999 and of course the F3 GT starts at 26,999. We've got 5 products. In my opinion, these 5 products are also too much, but I understand that they are key price points, and when you get to 15 to 20, you need a good product and things like that. If we keep stuffing phones in, it is only going to confuse consumers. I understand certain brands live off this confusion. They also live off the fact that you keep launching and hopefully you get that excitement. Frankly, I think it's wrong. I also think it's not right to confuse the consumers. If I were to launch a phone, it needs to be very, very clearly differentiated, sitting in a different price point. If I'm launching multiple phones in the same price point, that means I'm not doing a good job with the phone that I have. I'm just compromising and keep throwing stuff at the wall to see what works. But the follow-up question, and I know what would be there, is, but there is a reason why the X3 GT exists, and it is selling in a couple of countries, and that is true. And the main reason there is the gap between, so F3 GT is not there anywhere else. Right now it's only in India. Between the X3 Pro, and they have a F3, not the F3 GT. The gap between the X3 Pro and the F3 is a little more than 100 euros. So between that, there is enough space to put another device. And at that point, a 200, 300, 350 euro market, mostly in Europe, is the starting range. So there is obviously a large market there. Once we start going above 20,000 to 25,000, 30,000, the market is smaller. And I believe between the X3 Pro, you've got phones at 19,000 and 21,000. And then you've got the F3 GT, which is starting at 26,999 and then going all the way to 31. You've got most of the price points covered. I did not want to crowd it with one more phone. It's just not the Poco way. Next question is, this is coming in from Rishabh, Subrajit, Krishendu, Ganesh, Aditya, and a whole lot of other people, Sachin, Kushal. Can we expect Poco UI? We are definitely considering this. We have been working, we've had multiple discussions with our counterparts like Angus. We believe it could be interesting, but we are also cognizant that it requires a lot of time and it requires a lot of resources and money to create a separate UI, because having separate OSs means you are increasing your engineering manpower, and you're also ensuring that all of those are taken care of. So we have to be careful in terms of how we manage this. At what level would the Poco UI be? What kind? So all of those decisions are being made. Don't have a clear answer right now. Let's see where that happens. Next question is, when is the next Poco phone coming?